If you see me out here failing readathons, no, you didn't. You didn't. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Jayla, and today I'm talking about the books I read in February. I read a whopping 8 books. It's a bit of a fall from grace from January, which I don't think I read much more. Maybe I read like 11. But still, it was a simpler time because I hadn't started a job and I wasn't in grad school because school didn't start until the end of January. So my free time has been drastically diminished, but I still was able to read a good amount this month. I feel like it's only going to get lower from here, and it's not that I don't usually read like 8 books a month anyway, if not less, but I don't know, I was in a really good reading mood in February, and so the fact that I couldn't read as much really bothered me because I actually really wanted to read, you know? I'm rambling, so let's get on with the video. The first book that I finished was Red Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I don't know why I said Red Rising. In case you can't see, that is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. Goodbye. I'm not going to go too much into this one. I promised an entire month ago that I was going to film a Shadow and Bone trilogy review that I haven't done yet. So, oops. I still really want to do it, but as I said in my whole tangent rant thing a few seconds ago, I just haven't had time and also don't have the brain power to like plot out my review because I'm going over 3 books and I have a lot to say. So it's coming. Maybe. Soon-ish, and I'll leave my thoughts for this in there, although I will just say that I gave this a 3-star, I think. I wasn't in love with this book. I didn't love this book. It lacked a certain character that brings me joy, and overall I just felt like it repeated the same plots that we had already seen in the other 2 books. So yeah, not the best one out of the trilogy to me. Then I read When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. This is a thriller about a young woman named Sydney Green who's living in Brooklyn, and her mother has kind of left her in charge of the brownstone that she grew up in. It's her mother's house. Sydney is basically struggling to keep her head above water at this point because managing the house is a lot. She's seeing everyone in her neighborhood starting to sell their homes and move out. She's noticing just an influx of white people moving into the neighborhood that used to be majority primarily, I think I combined those 2 words, that used to be primarily black, and so it's just really upsetting for her because everyone that she grew up around, everyone that she knows is leaving and just disappearing, and she's like, where is everyone going? This is a thriller, and I don't read thrillers very often at all. It's not a genre that I tend to gravitate towards, but I really like the social commentary in this one. I really like the characters as well, except for Theo. Like, he was fine, he was a good character, but I didn't like the guy who was reading his voice. I listened to the audiobook for this, which is very good, and I recommend it. Very good. I just didn't like his voice because, I don't know, I'll insert something if I can, but I just didn't like his, like, I grew up on this side of the tracks and I was running with this guy and doing this thing, and I don't know, I just didn't like his voice. But anyway, I think what I did love about this story was that it has more of a human-centric setup. It's more, I think I've seen someone call it more rom-com-y, and some people said it was more of a romance than a thriller, which I don't think it was less of a thriller because of those romantic aspects that it had, but I do think that made me enjoy it more because, I don't know, something about the normal thriller is very detached to me, and I just don't enjoy that, I guess. But here, it's like Alyssa Cole is primarily known for her romance books, so that must shine through in here, and it adds a certain element that I really enjoyed about the book. I felt actual attachments to the characters. It was just really good at setting them up and setting up the environment. So the only reason I gave this 4 stars instead of 5 was because I feel like it did take a long time to really pick up and start becoming a thriller, but I don't really think it was slow or anything, and I enjoyed the build up to what was getting kind of crazy. And yeah, and I also feel like the ending was a bit rushed. So those are 2 things. Like, the beginning was too slow as far as thrillers go, and the end was too fast and everything happened at the same time, and it was just like, whoa, we need to slow down and we need to run that back. Especially if you're reading the audiobook, you just start being like, wait, where did this come from? So those were my 2 things with this book, but overall it's really good and you should read it. Then I read The Dare by Harley LaRoux, and friends, I don't read, what is this? I don't know what you would call this. Is this like just erotica? I just really don't read erotic romance very often, and I feel like this is a different category than those whatever books I was reading in the vlog I do sometimes for the erotic reading vlog. I feel like this is a different breed because, first of all, this is way more explicit. There's way more fetishy stuff, lots of kinks, and I always feel like the erotic novels I've been reading for the vlog, which granted I've only read one author, so I can't really judge the entire genre, but they're not nearly as sexy as I expect them to be. They're not graphic or any of the stuff that I would expect if you were like trying to write for an audience that wants sexy, steamy times. So yeah, I'm curious to know what that classifies as. Maybe I'm calling it erotica when it's not, and it's just romance novels, but I always thought that it was kind of going in with a certain sex appeal. However, this is erotica. There is a lot going on in here. Basically, this is about a girl named Jessica, and she goes to this Halloween party. It's a year after they've all graduated from high school, so it's a bunch of college kids, or whatever they're doing after high school, and they go to a party as kind of like a high school reunion thing, but it's only been a year. Jessica was super popular in high school. She was captain of the cheerleading squad, and she was dating the hot football player, whatever. But who else shows up at the party but the guy she made out with once, who's classified as a freak? He's a loser, he's a weirdo, and she actually bullied him a lot in high school because she was popular and she was supposed to, I guess. So there was some secret sexual tension between them in high school, and that all comes back at this party after a game of drink or dare, which is like beer pong. And so if you throw your ball into someone else's cup, the other person has to either choose to drink it or do the dare that you give them. So after this very heated game, Jessica ends up being Manson Reed, which is the freak's name. I don't know if I said it already. She ends up being his slave, which is, oh, so fun. She accepts this dare out of pride because she can't look like she's been bested by him, and a lot happens. If you want to read this, you should definitely check out the trigger warnings and the, gosh, there's like a whole list of warnings in here that you cannot see. Yeah, it's a long list, and I've been exposed to some things now that I did not know existed. So I read this because Jo Harris, on her channel, she said that it was like one of her favorite books of 2020, and I was like, wow, like I don't really see these ever talked about as being like that good that they're on someone's favorites list, and so I wanted to read it for myself and see what was up, and I did like it. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't really have a problem with the fetishes and the kinks or anything. They didn't make me entirely uncomfortable. There were some that I was like, oh, nope, not for me. But overall, it was a fun, sexy read. I liked the characters, even if they were complete cliches of themselves. And yeah, I would read it again. So, like, reader's discretion is advised, but if you want to try this out, try it out. The next 2 books I read were Get a Life Chloe Brown and Take a Hint Dani Brown, and I reread these. I read these back in August and November, I think, actually, of 2020. And so it has not been very long at all since I read them. But I was trying to participate in Blackathon.
Hello again. I was actually participating in Black Author Readathon, and that was a readathon mostly hosted on Instagram that focused on Black authors who write romance, so that's what that is.
I think this one was for the Hate to Love prompt, and this one was for Friends to Lovers prompt. I won't say too much about these. I've already talked about them plenty on my channel. You can go see those wrap-ups if you choose to. But I already loved this series, so I had no qualms about reading it again. I actually ended up giving this one 5 stars on my reread because, I don't know, I really liked how this one handled the conflict. No, that's a lie. I really preferred how the conflict unfolded in this story better. I feel like there was more build up to it in this one, whereas in Take a Hint Dani Brown, the final conflict, that's like the climax of a story, I guess. That one, I just felt like it was definitely less well done. I think both were pretty sloppily done or unnecessary, but this one was even more frustrating because it just felt completely unnecessary. I don't know how to say it any better. I just didn't enjoy it. I just think as far as conflicts go, while both were not good, this one did it better-ish. I have talked to some people about that who disagree with me, and that's totally fine. But yeah, that's just my thing. Then for Sapphic Readathon, I read Once Ghosted, Twice Shy by Alyssa Cole, so I read another Alyssa Cole book this month, and this one was okay. I give it 3 stars. It follows Lakotsi, and she has like a day off from work, and so she's just out in the city when she ends up running into an ex, who's not really an ex, they dated for like a day or 2 days, but someone that she was kind of falling in love with, like, quickly, I guess. I don't even remember the girl's name right now, and I'm so sorry because I don't even have my phone or anything on me. But she met the other woman 7 months earlier, and they really hit it off, and they were having fun together before the other woman just, like, said, hey, we can't see each other anymore, goodbye. So I wouldn't even really say that she ghosted her. She full on said goodbye and everything, so at least she got that. Some people really don't get that. Some people just get no message at all. But so Lakotsi was really hurt because she just cut off something that was seeming like a really good thing. So anyway, she runs into her 7 months later, and she's like, yo, what the hell? Like, I thought we had something, and then you just disappeared. And we spend the day slowly like seeing them bond again, and it's cute. But also we slowly realize why Girl B decided that she couldn't be with Lakatsi. I read this as an audiobook, and I think that was part of the problem. It was just like I was listening to it while doing things in the background, and so I thought that it was cute, and I thought there was lots of nice bonding moments and everything, but overall I just wasn't invested in the characters, and maybe it was also just too short, and I didn't feel like we had enough time to really care because it was just taking place over like a day. But yeah, it is a novella in a larger series, so I wonder how I would feel about the series overall rather than just that one little snippet I got into that world. Another book I read this month was After the Silence by Louise O'Neill. This is a mystery suspense novel, and it was one that I read for work, and I just know that I would never have picked it up unless I had to read it, so I am very appreciative that I did. This was a 5-star book for me. I really enjoyed it. It follows this small Irish town on an island. Just kind of a bunch of average, hardworking people who live there. But there's a wealthy family that moves to the island, and there's just kind of bad blood between them because they don't like, it's like a whole classified thing. A murder happens on the island of one of the most beautiful girls on there. Everyone loves her. Everyone's always talking about her. And when she's murdered, the town is devastated by it and just changed forever. And it's something that's haunted them for 10 years. And after that 10 years, a film crew decides to come to the island and make a documentary about the murder and see if they can uncover what actually happened, because they suspect that the wealthy family has a lot more to do with it than they say they do. So I had a really fun time reading this, and the characters were also interesting and complex, and it was just really dark, and everything that becomes revealed over time is just like more and more shocking, and you're like, oh my god, like what is going on in this house? And so I just really had a good time reading it, which is not something I can say about most mystery novels that I've tried or have read. The last book I'm talking about today is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This was a really, really good literary fiction novel. It follows Grace Porter. She's 28 years old, and she has just graduated from her PhD program in astronomy, and it's really sucking, like, after graduation. It's hard to find a job. She's not passionate. She's been working so hard for so long, and she's just like at a standstill, like what am I supposed to do? And so on a trip to Vegas, she ends up drunkenly marrying a stranger, and she kind of has to deal with the repercussions of that because she's like, this is something I've never done in my entire life. Well, I mean, no one has married a stranger in Vegas, most likely. Most people haven't, I mean. So anyway, she's feeling a lot of pressure at home, and she decides that she is going to go visit this wife that she randomly married who lives in New York. And so she leaves Portland, Oregon, and she goes to New York, and she spends the summer there. This book is so beautifully written. Her wife in this, Yuki, is so eloquent, and she runs like a radio show, and so you get to hear a lot of her speaking. And her stories that she tells are just so beautiful and so romantic. My heart was fluttering while reading this. I also really enjoyed all the characters in here. They're all so different and complex, but so fun, and you just want to be friends with all of them, but sadly I am not friends with any of them. I also really enjoyed the mental health discussion in here. We do see Grace seeking help. We see her dealing with general anxiety. She's got some daddy issues in there too. And yeah, it's just a really well done story. My only issue is not even really the book's fault. I think it's more of the marketing's fault, because it tells you about this whirlwind romance of getting married in Las Vegas. It's got this like beautiful bright cover, and even though she's not smiling or anything, it's still like, oh, stunning, we love it. So you've got this crazy wedding, you've got her, we know that she runs off to New York because it's in the synopsis, and it just feels like it's going to be more fun. It feels like it's going to be more, not necessarily like a rom-com, it's not what I was expecting, but I did think that it would be more energetic, a little more fun, a little more flirty. I don't know what words I'm using, but I hope you get what I mean. So yeah, we didn't really get that. There wasn't really an even balance between the serious and the sweet, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted serious to be here and sweet to be just like a bit higher up here, but unfortunately that's not really how this book plays out. It's pretty much mostly serious, and the parts of the book that are more romance focused, I feel like they don't really even do anything. Like, there's no real bonding. It's just kind of time jumps that show that they are closer, and I don't like that. I want to see, like, you marry this woman after meeting her one night, and then you haven't seen her for months, and then you go visit her in New York, and then you skip over all the fun flirty stuff. Like, no, I want you to go walk the Brooklyn Bridge together, just like something, like go out, enjoy the nightlife. But they didn't really do any of that, and that's kind of what was upsetting to me, because I was like, this book is not what I expected it to be. So yeah, it was still really good, and this might even be a 5-star for most people, but for me it was just like the expectation was completely not met, in some ways, and so that's why I gave it 4 stars. But it was still really good. So that's everything that I read for February. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of these books in my hands right now, what you read in February, what your favorite read of February was. Let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe to my channel so you can keep coming back and seeing more of all of this, because that would be great. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.